The hospital cafeteria buzzed with evening activity as I reviewed surgical schedules. My white coat crisped despite 16 hours of rounds. My phone lit up with Mom's text, "Family dinner tonight. Your sister's celebrating her nursing promotion." I smiled, checking the hospital board's latest message. "Congratulations on your unanimous selection as chief of surgery. Announcement scheduled for tonight's board meeting." 7 years of being the failure of the family was about to end. 7 years of hearing how my sister Lisa was the sensible one for choosing nursing while I wasted time trying to become a surgeon. Dr. Chin, a resident, approached. "Your family's in the main conference room. They said it's a surprise dinner." Perfect timing. They had no idea they'd walked into my moment. The conference room doors opened to reveal my family seated around the mahogany table, Lisa beaming in her head nurse uniform while Mom and Dad arranged takeout containers. "Sarah," Lisa called out. "Finally joining us? Or are you still too busy with those impossible surgical rotations?" "Actually," I began, but Mom cut in. "We're celebrating Lisa's promotion to head of nursing," she announced. "A real achievement, unlike..." She glanced at my surgeon's coat with familiar disappointment. "Speaking of achievements," Dad added, "Dr. Roberts mentioned there's an opening in the family practice department. Much more suitable than surgery." I checked my watch. 3 minutes until the board meeting. "Sarah never could handle pressure," Lisa told her fiancé, another nurse. "Remember when Mom told everyone she'd never finish med school? And now, struggling through residency." My phone buzzed. "Board assembled. Waiting for your entrance, Chief." Struggling. I removed my glasses slowly, enjoying the moment. "Is that what you think I've been doing?" The conference room door opened. Chairman Wilson strode in, folders in hand. "Chief, your family's medical requests need your signature. And the board's waiting for your first address." Mom's fork clattered against fine china. "Chief. Dr. Sarah Chin," Chairman Wilson announced proudly, "youngest chief of surgery in our hospital's history." The board's vote was unanimous. Lisa's smug smile froze. "That's impossible. She's just a resident." "Was a resident," I corrected, standing to my full height. "While you were telling everyone I'd fail, I was performing groundbreaking procedures. When Mom was announcing my inevitable dropout, I was publishing research that changed neurosurgical protocols. But we thought." Dad stammered. "You thought what you wanted to think," I replied, signing the papers Chairman Wilson offered. Too busy planning Lisa's nursing celebrations to notice my surgical innovations. My phone lit up with notifications as the announcement went live. Dr. Sarah Chin appointed Chief of Surgery. Youngest surgeon to lead major hospital department. Revolutionary brain surgery technique gains worldwide adoption. "By the way," I added, reviewing the medical requests, "Lisa, you're transferred to the surgical department?" "Denied. Your performance reviews show a concerning pattern of undermining surgical residents. As chief, I can't allow that behavior." Mom found her voice. "Sarah, surely you wouldn't." "Wouldn't what?" "Maintain professional standards. Evaluate staff based on merit instead of family ties." I gathered the signed papers. "The same way you evaluated my chances of success." Chairman Wilson cleared his throat. "The board's waiting, Chief Chin." "Of course," I smiled. "Oh, and Lisa? That parking spot you wanted, reserved for department heads? It's now assigned to our most promising surgical resident. Someone who reminds me of myself 7 years ago when you all said I'd never make it." As I walked out, I heard Mom's whispered, "But she was supposed to fail." The hallway screens displayed the evening's surgical schedule. My name listed as primary surgeon on 3 groundbreaking procedures. Procedures that had made our hospital a global leader in neurosurgery. "Dr. Chin," my senior resident called out, "the press is requesting quotes about your new brain mapping technique." Lisa's face went pale. "Press? For Sarah? The technique that reduced recovery time by 70%? I pulled up the research data. The one Mom called impossible when I missed Thanksgiving dinner to work on it? The conference room's display switched to breaking medical news. Dr. Sarah Chen's revolutionary surgery protocol adopted worldwide. "But you never said anything," Dad protested. "All those family dinners. All those dinners where you talked over my achievements?" I brought up more screens. While you were celebrating Lisa's basic certifications, I was pioneering surgical procedures. When you were mocking my endless studying, I was developing techniques that saved hundreds of lives. Chairman Wilson handed me another document. Your new department budget, Chief. The board approved the full amount. Mom's hands shook as she saw the numbers. More funding than the entire nursing division's annual budget. That's not fair. Lisa burst out. I've been here longer. Length doesn't equal innovation, I cut in. How many papers have you published, Lisa? How many lives have your techniques saved? The screens now showed my surgical statistics. Success rates that had made me a legend in the medical community while my family was still calling me a struggling resident. By the way, I added, reviewing the staff roster, that nursing student you've been mentoring? The one you said wasn't cut out for medical school? I just approved her surgical residency application. Unlike some, I recognize potential even when it doesn't look like family expectations. My phone buzzed with more updates. International Medical Association requests keynote speech. Harvard Medical School offers visiting professor position. Surgical technique patent approved. The board meeting starts in 2 minutes, Chairman Wilson reminded me. They're eager to hear your vision for the department. Of course, I gathered my papers. Lisa, you'll want to update your resume. The new performance standards I'm implementing might be challenging for someone with your evaluation history. As I headed for the door, Dad called out, Wait, your mother and we just wanted what was best. No, I turned back. You wanted what was easiest to understand. A nurse for a daughter fitted your worldview. A revolutionary surgeon? That required believing in possibilities you couldn't see. The hallway erupted in respectful good evening, Chief greetings as I walked past, each one a subtle reminder of how wrong my family had been. The morning after my appointment, I sat in the Chief of Surgery's office. My office, reviewing department files while the medical world buzzed with news of my promotion. Every medical journal and hospital newsletter featured my story. Youngest Chief of Surgery revolutionizes brain surgery. Dr. Chen's technique reduces recovery time by 70%. Medical prodigy takes helm at Premier Hospital. My phone hadn't stopped lighting up since the announcement. 38 missed calls from Mom. 25 from Lisa. Countless messages from relatives who'd suddenly remembered my existence. Dr. Martinez, my trusted deputy chief, entered with the morning briefing. Your sister's been in the surgical wing since 6 a.m. Says it's her right to observe procedures as head nurse. Interesting how rights matter when hierarchy shifts, I mused, signing off on the day's surgical schedule. How's her performance review looking? 3 complaints from surgical residents last month alone. All documented cases of undermining their authority. The security feed showed Lisa pacing the surgical floor, her pristine nursing uniform a stark contrast to her frazzled expression. Her usual confidence was cracking, hair escaping its perfect bun, makeup showing signs of a sleepless night. Dr. Chin, my assistant's voice crackled, your parents are insisting on a meeting. They've brought your grandfather, the retired surgeon. Perfect. Grandfather had been the only one who believed in me before he retired. He'd love seeing what his struggling granddaughter had achieved. Mom burst in first, clutching her designer handbag like armor. Dad followed, looking lost without his usual patronizing smile. Grandfather entered last, his eyes twinkling with what looked suspiciously like pride. Sarah. Mom started, using my full name like I was still a med student. This is unnecessary. We can discuss this as a family. Family. I turned my screens to show the surgical department's statistics. Like when you told the entire family I'd never handle medical school. Or when Lisa spread rumors about my shaky hands during residency. Those were concerns about your well-being, Dad protested weakly. Really? I pulled up video recordings of my latest surgeries. Watch these procedures. See any shaking? Any hesitation? While you were planning Lisa's nursing celebrations, I was developing techniques that made our hospital world-renowned. Lisa burst in, having finally gained access to the executive floor. You can't just change everything overnight. Actually, I displayed the department's new organizational chart. I can. And I have. Merit-based promotions only. No more favoritism for nurses who happen to be related to staff. But my position. Lisa's voice trailed off as she saw her new assignment. You're being transferred to general medicine, I confirmed. Away from surgical residence you've been undermining. Your choice whether to accept the position or explore opportunities elsewhere. Grandfather stepped forward, his weathered surgeon's hands clasped behind his back. Show them, Sarah. Show them what I saw in you all those years ago. I smiled, pulling up my research database. The screens filled with publications, patents, and procedures, years of work they dismissed as wasteful studying. Every time you mocked my dedication, I explained, I was building this. While you were telling me to be realistic like Lisa, I was revolutionizing neurosurgery. My phone lit up with another alert. Dr. Chen's surgical technique saves congressman's daughter. National media coverage pending. Your next surgery is in an hour, Dr. Martinez reminded me. The one they said was impossible? The one that already has a waiting list of international patients, I corrected. Speaking of which, Lisa, you're not approved for that observation gallery anymore. Security has been updated. But I'm head nurse, she protested. We're head nurse, I emphasized. The new surgical department has higher standards. Standards you established when you called my career impossible. 1 month into my role as chief, I stood in operating room 1, preparing for another groundbreaking procedure while medical students observed from the gallery. The hospital's reputation had soared, with my surgical techniques now being taught in medical schools worldwide. My phone buzzed with the morning updates. Surgical success rates up 85% under new leadership. Dr. Chen's protocol becomes global standard. Lisa Carter, 10th transfer request denied. Parents, 4th attempt to influence board decisions. Dr. Martinez entered the prep room. Your sister's trying to get into today's surgery observation. Says it's her educational right as a nurse. Interesting, I replied, washing up for surgery. Did she mention how she used to tell residents I'd never make it to this or accept as a cleanup crew? The observation gallery was packed with eager medical students. The next generation of surgeons who would learn that success doesn't depend on family approval. Dr. Chen, my assistant's voice came through. Your mother's here with the hospital board chairman's wife. They're trying to leverage social connections. Some people never learn, I mused, watching the gallery fill. Let them watch today's surgery. They should see what their failing daughter can do. Mom and her society friends sat front row, their designer outfits out of place among earnest medical students. Lisa hovered by the door, her nurse's uniform no longer carrying the authority it once did. Today's procedure, I announced to the gallery, demonstrates the technique they said was impossible when I proposed it in medical school. The one my family suggested I simplify to match their expectations. The screens displayed my innovation in real-time microsurgery that would have seemed like science fiction when they were mocking my ambitions. Pay attention, I continued, making the first precise incision, to the neural mapping approach that won last month's Global Medical Innovation Award. The same approach my sister called unrealistic during family dinners. Through my surgical microscope I could see Mom's friend whispering, probably realizing her husband, the board chairman, now answered to the doctor they'd underestimated. 4 hours later, another successful surgery completed. I stood washing up as the gallery emptied. The medical students' excited chatter about my technique echoed through the halls. Sarah, Mom approached, her social confidence wavering. We never knew. Because you never looked, I replied, checking post-op notes. Too busy planning Lisa's nursing ceremonies to notice I was changing modern surgery. Lisa stepped forward, her transfer request clutched in her hand. I could learn your technique, if you just give me a chance. Like the chances you gave struggling residents? I reviewed her file on my tablet. The ones you told would never be real doctors like my sister? My phone lit up with breaking news. Dr. Chen's technique saves quadriplegic patient, full recovery expected. The thing about surgery, I continued, removing my mask, is that it doesn't care about family names or social connections. It only cares about skill, innovation, and dedication, everything you said I lacked. But we're family, Mom pleaded. Are we? I pulled up the hospital's new teaching program. Because family supports potential. Family nurtures ambition. What you did was the opposite. The screens above the surgical bay showed the day's success. Another impossible procedure made routine by the doctor they said would never succeed. Here's what happens now, I stated, signing off on the surgery notes. Lisa, you can reapply for surgical observation rights, starting with basic certification, no shortcuts. Mom, your social influence ends at the hospital doors. Medicine doesn't care about country club memberships. As they left, finally understanding the power shift, I called after them. Oh, and that family dinner tradition? I'll be busy those nights, teaching future surgeons who remind me of myself. The ones other people say will never make it. The next morning, I reviewed applications for our surgical residency program. Among them, I found a familiar story, a brilliant student whose family insisted nursing was a safer choice. My phone buzzed, Lisa requesting entry to afternoon surgical conference. Denied, I texted back. Prerequisites required, no exceptions. The hospital corridors echoed with the energy of changing dynamics. Nurses who once followed Lisa's lead now reported directly to my surgical team. Residents who'd feared her interference now flourished under merit-based evaluations. Dr. Chen, a young medical student, approached, her eyes bright with determination. My parents say neurosurgery is too ambitious for me. I smiled, recognizing my past self in her nervous posture. Come with me. Leading her to the surgical gallery, I pulled up recordings of my latest procedures. See that technique? Every person in my family said it was impossible. Now it's saving lives worldwide. But how did you handle their doubt? By proving that doubt is just fear of change, I replied, handing her an application for our advanced program. Sometimes the greatest barrier isn't the surgery itself. It's the people who think they know your limits. My phone lit up again. Mom had posted on social media, finally bragging about her brilliant surgeon daughter. 7 years too late. Success, I told the student, isn't measured in family approval. It's measured in lives changed, boundaries pushed, and barriers broken. Remember that when they tell you to be realistic. As she left, clutching the application like a lifeline, I watched another impossible surgery begin in the OR below. Another life about to be saved by techniques they said would never work.